games were popular, I was so little that I didn't have the patience for Wizardy or Ultima, so I didn't really play too much of those games when they were, really popular. But I do remember in elementary school how I think it was Wizardy 4 or was it 3 where everyone was like, "Oh man, it's crazy. It's such a good idea. This time you are the bad guy and you're just setting traps and waiting your goddamn chair for the heroes to come and get you." And all of us were amazed that there was a game where like you got to be the bad guy. And I think at the end of the day, like, there's a reason that a lot of games don't do this, and it's because it's not as fun. Being the hero is more fun. Even though it sounds great to be the bad guy in a traditional RPG, bad guy can be kind of boring. Alright, now we get to test how good our new armor actually is. What can this... Oh, he misses. One damage. Alright, I like it. And we get a critical hit. Oh man, I just wish all skeleton fights could go like that. There was actually one Apple II game that we were required to play in school. And I'm not sure how long this went on, but when I was like 8 years old, we all had to go into the computer lab of Apple IIs, or maybe it was just then the first Macintosh came out, and there was some Macintoshes, but I think the whole class still played on Apple IIs. Anyway, it was Oregon Trail, and talk about a hard damn game. Especially, well, I don't know if it's hard is the right word. Talk about a game where like there was a good chance that you were gonna die. And there's no coming back from that game. You don't lose half your food if you die in Oregon Trail. You're just fucking done. I'm not sure if anyone in the class beat the damn game. I think everyone died somewhere on the trail. Anyway, what made it worse is that we had to play it in a group of kids. So, I had some stupid girl on my team that didn't want to hunt, and then we'd get low on food, and then some of the food would go bad, and we'd be starving. I'd be like, "God damn it, bitch. Gotta let us hunt." Anyway, I definitely never beat that game, especially not during school. And I'm not even sure, we must have gotten a grade on that or something. I don't know, but it seems kind of unfair now that I think about it. Also, that same year, I was such a noisy kid in my class that the teacher was sick of me, and we got an exchange student from China, and she's like, "Matt, get out of the fucking classroom, go to the library, and teach this Chinese girl English." And that was my fucking job. So I went out and got like a Chinese phrase book or some shit, and then sat her down and opened up some Clifford books and just said like, "Dog, boy," just going through it. And yeah, she was terrible at English at the beginning, and I don't think it has anything to do with me, but throughout the years she got quite a bit better. And one thing that she could do better than anyone else in the whole class was math. I tell you what, it was crazy. Well, as crazy as 4th grade math can get. But all the stupid white kids were struggling with long division, and she's already working on like pre-algebra, which just saying the word when you're that old scares the shit out of you. So anyway, yep, it was my job to teach the Chinese girl English. She definitely learned more English than I learned Chinese, I'll tell you that. But who knows, maybe that's one of the reasons I thought, well, I don't really like Chinese that much as a language, but I do like Asia. And I do like things from Japan, so maybe I'll try Japan. And so I went to Japan. And I learned real quick that spoken Japanese is way easier to learn than spoken Chinese. Now, reading and writing, that is a different story. Just like I've complained about it a couple times on the stream already, but this game doesn't use Chinese characters at all. It's just using 2 alphabets and making some things understandable is kind of hard for me, as it's my second language, of course. So like, if there's 3 or 4 words that have the exact same pronunciation and I don't fully understand the context, I have to go back and look at it later. Or maybe there's something like, the different names of the family, or not the, what was it? The Shonen Jump writers. Like, how are you supposed to know that if you weren't reading Shonen Jump in 1985? So, sometimes that stuff crops up. And especially in this time, nowadays you can't do shit like put yourself inside of the game with a clever nickname while you're working for a different company. Just news spreads way too fast now. You got your Twitters and your Facebooks. People find out real quick if you're doing other stuff. But back then, you could be the writer of the most popular manga magazine and be making video games for the most popular video game machine. And no one would know that you were doing both. Alright, we are over halfway to our new shield. I'm hoping we're getting really close to our level 9. I mean, we've gained quite a lot of experience since level 8. I think we got it at 800, right? So we've gained 400 experience since then. And we'll do one more heal and fight around a little bit until we go back to the end here. Okay, that was a pretty good roll. Man, I'm trying to remember some other, like, old games I was playing on Apple II back in the day. But the sad truth is there just wasn't a lot of like really good games. Or there probably was. There was probably stuff I enjoyed. It's hard to think back now. Like Oregon Trail was easy because that's something that we had to do in school. Well, how about I talk a little bit more about how the game came together then. So, I think in the first stream, I briefly mentioned that when Square Enix, or not, okay, back then it was just Enix. When Enix became a gaming company, they didn't have any programmers, so they held this competition, and they got, I think, over 300 submissions of games, and most of them were made on, I think it was a Sony, was it a Sony computer? It was a programmable computer that a lot of times if you talk to, Japanese devs that were getting into gaming in the late 70s, early 80s, no, I think it was Sharp. Yeah, anyway, Sharp had a couple of programmable computers. And I think most of the contestants for this tournament were using programmable computer. So Yuji Horii made a tennis game. I think it was Love Match Tennis is what it was called. And then the director of the game, Koichi Nakamura, made a game called Door Door. But what I didn't tell you last time is that they're 10 years apart. So at this time, I think Yuji Horii is like 29 years old. And okay, that sounds like what you would expect. Nakamura was 19. 19 years old. We don't have any magic. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get to the end. So he was one of the winners of this contest at 19 with a game called Door Door, which it never came out in the States, but it's a pretty cute and clever game. I don't think I talked about this last time, so I'll talk about it a little bit now. You're this... Actually, I don't know what you are. You're this thing with a hat. That's like a white cotton ball with a hat. And there are aliens that are in the game for some reason or another. I don't know why they're there. Anyway, they don't like you, and you're trying to get away from the aliens. And it's called Door Doors because there's a lot of doors on the screen. And what you have to do is open a door and then let the aliens inside the door and then close the door on them. And there's quite a few different kinds of aliens, at least 3 that I can remember. And they all behave a little bit differently. So you kind of have to anticipate what they're going to do and get them in the door and then close the door. And if you get a lot of aliens in the same door at the same time, then you get some bonuses for that. I think the highest you can do is like 6 aliens at one time in one door, and that's crazy difficult. Anyway, so it's a pretty cute, clever game. And it had a Famicom release. And, you know, after they released those 2 games, the 2 were still working separately. Yuji Horii was working on, I guess in Japan they call them adventure games, but it's not really adventure. Like it's kind of like a text game where there's pictures and stuff, but then there's like a story, and it's kind of like a choose your own adventure kind of thing. He was making some games like that. And then he made one called Portpia, and it was a mass murder mystery game. And it first got released on PCs, and Nakamura didn't have anything to do with that game. But then they decided to port it to the Famicom, and Nakamura was on that project. So that was the first time that they got to kind of hang out with each other. And after that, Nakamura made his own company at like 21, I think. At the age of 21, he made his own goddamn company with just, you know, like a couple other people. And that was Chunsoft. And yeah, I think I talked about this a little bit, but Chun is the... Okay, this might sound confusing if you don't know anything about Japanese, but the Chinese way to pronounce the Japanese kanji for Naka in Nakamura. And usually in Japanese words, even if you use the Chinese reading, it's chu without the N sound at the end. But if you're playing Mahjong, which is a Chinese gambling game, even in Japan, you add that N sound at the end, so it's Chun. And I guess that was his nickname in high school, is Chun. So, and that's when he started playing Mahjong too. Bad kid, already gambling with Mahjong when you're a senior in high school. Anyway, so he took that name and made it Chunsoft. And was this